YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. It's been a few minutes since our last video, and we have a new box. It's kind of huge. Ooh, super excited to bring you this one. I hope it's as good as I hope it is. So welcome to Brian Phillips RC. We unbox them, we build them, we set them up on the radio system so that you don't have to necessarily know how to do it. We'll teach you how to do it, start to finish, including opening the box, but you can probably figure that part out yourself. When we're done doing all that, we fly them, but the video is separate. When it's a build and a radio setup, you'll see them for small planes that way. All right, here we go. What do we have in here? We have a white box. This is a little weird, and there is a picture of what the box would look like if it was a box. Okay, so this is an early sample, so we're not gonna get the artwork on our box, but you guys will see it in its full, true colors once we get it out. That being said, because these are early samples, sometimes our packaging is a little bit beat up, and sometimes we don't always have every single component, and usually they're pretty good about getting it to us, but the last one we did, the B2, we were missing a vertical stabilizer that was clear. So hopefully that doesn't happen on this one. Just warn me if something weird pops out here.
So far, so good?
Good.
Okay.
All right, just get that box out of the way. Okay, so the early sample boxes are white, like we said, so you'll actually be able to see all the info, but we're just gonna get right to it on this. A little bit hard to tell which way's up, so ours is upside down right now. So we'll go ahead and flip this right side up. And so, super excited to be bringing you this on Brian Phillips RC. If you guys are brand new to the channel, we do this all the time with the Unbox build radio setup so that you guys can get a good feel for what to expect. Now, one thing you might be asking right away as we open this is, does it come with floats? The answer is no, but you can order it. They're gonna be offering a special so that you can get the floats for super cheap. I think it's like 20 bucks or something like that. Yeah. Don't mark my words, if you're watching this a few years later, it might be more or less, or there might be different package offerings. But as it's going to be coming into the warehouse, you'll be able to order it, and they'll give you an option when you follow our links to order so you can get a special price and save a few bucks. Now, the other thing is they are the same floats that are used on other similar offerings. Do you remember which planes were mentioned?
The Timber.
The Timber?
I think.
Okay. All right. So we have a manual. I'm not sure that yours is going to come in an envelope like that. That's probably a function of the early sample. So yes, we do have, ours is signed. I don't know if that's normal. But anyway, so this is the Twin Otter 1.4, pretty exciting. Looks like, I can tell from the picture, counter rotating prop. It's a 1.4 meter size class, okay? So we're just gonna jump into the Unbox build radio setup portion. This is the Unbox, of course. If you guys are looking for just the radio setup, click ahead a little bit in the video. Never be afraid to play double speed if you wanna see it, but you wanna just kinda glance at it real quick. Okay. So it's like some fairings and stuff for where the wings attach to the landing gear. Now keep in mind, there will be different equipment for some of the float stuff. Then we have a nose gear here. Looks like a fairly softer tire, but not super soft, and big heavy duty white, okay, metal spring. Got a little bit of Velcro in there, and hook and loop, they would call it. Okay, so we got that, and then like some warranty tag sort of thing. And there's a bind plug in there in ours, okay? So we'll just keep working our way through it. Now, if you guys are brand new to the hobby, I don't know what to tell you if this is gonna be a brand new first time pilot kind of plane, or if it's gonna be something for more experienced. I couldn't tell from the picture. Did the picture say what experience level it is?
What if you, is it big enough?
I don't know if it's big enough to see on this. Oh, experience level 2. Okay. So that means basically, you know, maybe not your first plane, but second plane, third plane, whatever, that's fine. And Twin Otters in our experience have had no real terribly bad habits, but when you have an inboard flap on a Twin Otter and you have it deployed and you're trying to do 3D maneuvering, you can get into a condition where they will flop over, and it is very scary. I had that happen once on a much bigger, much more expensive offering, and it happened recently to me, but our camera was overheated and we didn't know it, so you guys didn't get to see the footage, which was a bummer. It was a Joe Nall 2025, which, by the way, since it's still fresh in your memory, Joe Nall 2025 was great, super fun event. If you've never been, you should check it out. And we go on a routine basis, or a semi-routine basis. It's our 3rd year going, and so we're super excited if we can join you there and you can get out to meet us. We always love to meet you guys, because at the end of the day, we know there's people on the other side of the screen that are enjoying this content, and we know it's not for everybody, especially the fact that it's long format. So if you guys are the type that like long format content and you don't mind spending a few hours with a close friend helping to learn about a hobby that we both love, then you'll love Brian Phillips RC. So smash the like button. Do it early and often when you're watching our videos. Okay, carbon fiber wing joiners. This one must be for the tail feathers here. Looks like it is a solid one. You can tell because it sounds like you dropped metal, okay? Geez, that's thick. Carbon fiber, very strong. It's got a high-pitched ring to it, which is so weird. I always thought that was funny. I didn't think a thing of it. I wouldn't have known the difference before I got into airplanes. I mean, obviously I know the difference in materials, but between a fiberglass and a carbon fiber finish. Love the paint. This is jigged paint and then unpainted on the back. I would like to see it painted on front and back, but I'm trying to see if I can find the size, guys. Oh, there it is. Can you read that? I can't quite make it out. I'll take it out of the bag, see if I can see it. Counter rotating props, which is super cool. I do not know if we have differential thrust. It would have been listed on the package, but we'll find out as we go through the Unbox build radio setup portion here. Looks like it's an 8.5, or is that 8.6? No, it's an 8
by
6.5
cc.
cc, so counterclockwise. Okay, so there's one. And then there's another one taped in here, guys, you can just see real quick. So some of these unboxes take a little longer than others. It looks like there's a higher piece count on this particular model. And full disclosure, here on Brian Phillips RC, we usually complain about that. So the reason we complain about that is not because it's a big issue. It's just that we have a few planes that we've dealt with over the years. And so if you're here wondering if I have any sort of basis for my appreciation or lack thereof of a particular model, look no further than my living room. Okay, so that is an 8 by 6.5.
That one's easier to read.
So that's the other one, okay? Now, if you're trying to figure out which way they go, you'll see, should be pretty clear when we get to that point. I believe usually the top spins in toward the fuse, so like the nose would be going this way in most cases. Now, I don't know that that's 100% true on this, but you can also study this drawing here, and that'll help you to see, like this one, the shape of the wingtip is the same as that shape, okay? So this one would spin like that. And then this one over here, you can tell from the view of the angle. So I did have that correct. So the nose would be going this direction, okay? Why do we do unbox build radio setups? If you're brand new to the channel, you may not understand what the value would be in that. The value is a lot of people need help getting started in this hobby. And there's a lot of steps that the manufacturers, included E-flite, take for granted that people will know how to do, okay? A lot of the stuff people figure out over the course of a few planes, but we're here to help you as you're learning, okay? All right, so let's take out the wing. Let's check it out. Looks very smooth, looks very well put together. It's heavy because the motor is in there in the nacelle, okay? Everything looks very nice and ball links, heavy duty hardware, big carbon fiber reinforced, a little bit more refined than the recent Twin Otter that we just did. Looks definitely more finished. I hope it flies as good. Look at this fitment. Beautiful, quick disconnect wing, inboard flaps here. Love the way that looks. There isn't some sort of a sticker here that looks like it came off. It says look. I'm just gonna blow that off of there because I don't know what that means.
Okay.
I'm assuming it would probably be on the nacelle to help to articulate to a pilot walking up to the wing that they shouldn't be chopped up. Okay, so we have some, looks like some nice strobe and nav lights. Looks like somebody scraped it on some blacktop, so that's kind of exciting. And if you look, this is a really long aileron and a little bit shorter flap. So that's pretty common, especially on a twin nacelle engine setup, because you're gonna have thrust that's being diverted by the flap. And so I think that's part of the reason why you can get to those weird upsets. And by the way, see the weights out there on the end? Good strength, very solid, just a little bit of flex there. And then also this is naked foam. So it's not painted here, but it's painted here. I know some people really get bothered by that, but the density of foam on this particular model, we did one the other day from a competitive offering that had a really dense foam, and we've seen that recently on the Electro Streak. The Electro Streak is hiding back there. It has a very
yep, it is.
firm, kind of like almost heavy finished foam. This feels somewhere between that and what we had a few years ago, where you had really almost like a hollow feel to the wing, okay? So if you've ever flown the Carbon Z Cubs, that's like an actual hollow wing because it's huge. But this feels really heavy, dense foam. So I like that. I don't know if it's good or bad. We're gonna try to tell you guys what's really important and not necessarily all the highly subjective details, okay? So float adapters, they are gonna come in the kit, okay? But the floats themselves, those are different from plane to plane many times because of the spacing and placement on the plane, okay? So it doesn't include the floats, but it does include some of the adaptive fixtures. Okay, so just kind of pulling this out a little bit at a time so I can go one piece at a time for you all at home. Now, if you guys are brand new to the hobby and you're thinking, is this for me? I'm kind of guessing it's not because it's the first plane, maybe not. If you flew a Twin Otter, you flew in a Twin Otter, and you just really love the concept of having this as a radio control plane, you'd always buy it and work your way up to it. It's not gonna be something that's way deep into the, you know, to the skill echelon. I don't think you're gonna have a hard time doing this after a few planes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't encourage you to buy something just to sit it on the shelf, unless of course you really want it and you're concerned it's gonna go out of stock, or there's gonna be some like trade war that kicks in. Wink, wink. You could always watch out for that. Okay, so the gear in this pocket, just putting some of the plugs back in. It's kind of complicated packaging, so I'm just gonna work my way through. Boy, they got a lot of wear and tear on this. Goodness gracious. They must have liked it.
Yeah.
That is a rock hard tire. It's gonna be noisy too. Nice, strong, supportive deal there. It looks like this is gonna slide into the fuse and go up in. And then there's, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. And you guys can see this. If you didn't know that foamies aren't all foam, you should know now. There's a lot of steel, plastic, carbon fiber, and fiberglass, sometimes wood, in different models that go into making the models what they are, which is really nice because if you just had foam, there's no way you would get the strength you need to actually make a foam plane work, okay? There's just not enough strength in it. You could make a really, 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 really dense, heavy plane out of foam, but the truth is you're not gonna get the strength in the connection points. So you'd have to glue everything together, and these planes anymore rarely take any glue, okay? So, and again, this is a 1.4 meter, so it's a little bit smaller than a recent release, which was very good. So I'm hoping this thing is good. Anyway, horizontal stabilizer. The horizontal stabilizer on the Twin Otter is very big. Looks like we have a pinched hinge design. Some will think that that's not good. I tend to think I don't care on this size class. It looks like there is a reinforcement tape, but I am not 100% certain on that. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm looking for a reflection and a piece of film, and I honestly, I can't tell.
I can't either.
But there is a nice plastic reinforcement here, and that goes through and holds the edge, as well as right here, which is gonna receive the reinforcement all the way out to the edge. I'm assuming, I can't tell for certain. It looks, oh yeah, there's a rod in there.
Is, yeah.
Okay, so there's a rod that goes all the way through. And that's what I was just talking about, guys. And then of course the simulated air bladders here for the de-icing and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. What I'm getting at is there's a lot of details on this plane, and they're very smooth, nice wings. That may not be your cup of tea, you may not care. This may go out into the field with you and just get absolutely lamb-blasted by gravity and trees as you learn to fly. But at the end of the day, I do like how much nicer the models are looking. Just to give you an idea of the stiffness of the horizontal stabilizer, we'll go ahead and slide the mechanism together. Of course, this is gonna be in the vertical stabilizer. Okay, so we'll just set this out of the way. Nice finish, I like the colors. Obviously the 1.1 meter Twin Otter was very good from Horizon. It's an E-flite offering as well. And we had really good luck with that plane. I think at the time it was also one of the newer, models that had differential thrust. So I'm not sure if this one's gonna support differential thrust or not yet. That is one of the things we are yet to find out. But I gotta say, holy cow, that's so cool. They have doorknobs. Oh, that is awesome. That is so dang cool. I gotta say, this one is more detailed than the competitive offering. But guys, look at that. Show them the door handles and the door hinges. Do they work? They don't actually move. But look at this. They have a handle over here. That is so cool. There is a protector for the strobe beacon, and there's windshield wipers.
Oh, cool.
That is so sick. I am really happy they did that because I gotta say, I love seeing details on these planes, okay?
Yeah.
Now they do have bigger stickers. Oh, they're for the door outlines. Look. So you can put those on if you want. But to be honest with you, I feel like, I don't know that I want to put them on. I think it looks good the way it is. It looks very realistic. I don't know if I want them on there myself.
I don't know.
A little bit of crushing here, probably from the foam packaging, I'm wondering. Open, close, and then that is a real genuine inlet, air inlet. And that's going to be in a splash resistant area and a large place to receive the steerable nose gear so that you don't have to have a lot of tools to uninstall that if you switch between floats and landing gear. But as I can say, from history with E-flite, you end up with a nice, stiff, strong frame, beautiful profile. I gotta say the nose looks nice. And on the competitive offering that we just did not too long ago, they had 2 different noses. This does not have 2 different noses, but I didn't really care, to be honest. I mean, it was kind of a cool thing, but I don't care.
Right.
So this is beautiful. I suppose if you were a Twin Otter pilot, maybe you wanted to get the exact model that you had. But boy, oh boy, that thing looks really good.
Yeah, it is.
The only thing that would look better is if it actually had glass windows. But
cool.
to be honest, there's not much going on to allow for that. I'm trying to figure out where the battery goes. Does it go back here? Yeah. Does it? No, that's just you can get to the AR631. Mine, by the way, is mounted all cattywampus. Look at that. That's goofy. Why is it mounted cattywampus like that? That's way off, like multiple degrees off. And this does have AS3X Plus. If that's a problem, we'll have to re-glue that square. I don't know that it is going to be a problem, but it sure doesn't look good. That'll get you to the bind plug. Where's the battery?
So that front must come off.
Where does the battery go? Yeah, the whole thing comes off.
The whole thing comes off.
So which way does it go?
I don't know. I would bet from the back up. Yeah.
No way. That thing is on there like fierce. Something fierce, hon. I don't want to break it. It comes off the back first. Holy cow. That was so hard to get off. It just makes me nervous. Okay, they have a warning here. It looks like the Avian Twin ESC. It looks like it's got an IC3 connector. And then we have a battery location up here. Program 1, program 2. It reminds me, but this thing came undone. I wonder if that somehow was caught on the canopy.
Oh, it wasn't
because it yanked off of there. That's so weird. I wonder what it was caught on. I don't even understand what happened there. So strange. But these magnets are very strong if that's the case. So that's kind of nice that we don't have to worry about those coming off. And sometimes when we're doing these Unbox build radio setups, I trip with my scissors and accidentally cut the safety warnings off. And it's like, oh, dang it. Oh, son of a biscuit. Oh, ripped right off of there. Guys, don't cut your hands. There's 2 ways people get hurt in this hobby. It's props and batteries, okay? Please be careful with your batteries, be careful with your props, okay? Both would be a good idea. In this case, the props aren't even installed when you first take it out of the packaging. So as you look, it's emptied out. So we're gonna take a second and get that all cleaned up, and we're gonna come back with the rest of the build. All right, so we're gonna start by charging some batteries. We're gonna do 2200 4S. These ones are the 50C size. You can get in different C ratings. In our case, these are gonna be what we're gonna go with. You can use up to 2700 to 3200 size. So we do have 2700, but I don't know if we have 2700 4S. So I'm gonna just go ahead and plug these into the smart charger. I like the S2200, but if you had the S155, you could also use that, as well as the S1200, the S1400. There's a lot of different choices. Super easy process of charging. When you've got smart packs, it makes life easy. If you want to use some competitive offerings, that's fine too, but we are going to start with the Spectrum offerings, and they should work just fine. In fact, you heard them beep because they're already charged. Okay, cool. So the build is going to go pretty smooth. As you can see, I grabbed a plane stand. If you don't have one of these beauties, I think this was a $20 investment. we have Brian Phillips RC /supplies tab, and you can check that out also on bprc.com, excuse me, bprc.me. That's our website. It's a short link if you don't know how to spell my name. But if you want to spell it out, brianphillipsrc.com, you can find all the different things on the supplies tab. Now, full disclosure, we are missing 2 decorative antennas. One would go here, one would go here. They're clippy style, and that's what this weird apparatus is here. So you can clip them in before you ship them to Brian Phillips RC after you did your testing. So whoever forgot to put those in, no big deal. But just to let you know, you would normally be getting those, and we didn't. So no big deal, but just be aware that it is a factor. Those pop in and they can be easily popped out. So beautiful scale details here, as you can see. All right, so the build's gonna go pretty easy. In fact, it's gonna go so dang easy, I'm gonna do it right now, pretty much with no instructions. I'm gonna stick this thing through. That's the wing joiner. It's gonna go through like that. And then I'm gonna take the wings and I'm gonna put it on like this. And yes, I'm gonna do this out of order because I'm just getting whatever I get. I'm just gonna stick it together, okay? So pushing this through, and then the quick disconnect makes contact. I'm gonna work that. I'm not even gonna worry about the screws just yet, but they are gonna be super easy to use because there's 1, 2 screw holes, okay? And it's kind of weird because I'm doing the wings first just because that's what I touched first. And I just wanna get the piece count down as quick as possible because first of all, I love the way that that looks. The wings look perfect, just a tiny bit of dihedral on there. And I'm just noticing that our tail feathers are a little bit broken here. That's not cool.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, so the rudder's got a little bit of a break on the compression joint or the pinch hinge, okay? That's one of the drawbacks of a pinch hinge, by the way. But we're just gonna go with, hopefully it's not an issue. We'll find out if it is. All right, so then we're gonna put the horizontal stabilizer on. The horizontal stabilizer is gonna go super easy. I'm gonna slide this out, okay? There's 1 ball link, look.
Is that another one, or did we pick it up again?
No, there was 2 of them. Okay, so there's a ball link here. It's gonna eventually need to be clipped into this, okay? So I'm just gonna slide this in, push it through. Ball link we'll deal with later. And then the camera crew is just gonna watch as I penetrate this beautiful gal.
Oh, 22 minutes.
Right there. I waited long enough, it's okay. All right, so there's that. So we'll just slide this in. And then I'm gonna hold these surfaces so they're both level so that when I push through, we will get purchase on the pass-through for the controls, okay? So now the controls aren't moving free because we'll run into the ball link on the backside. That would be a little bit potentially dangerous, so be careful because you don't want that to make you think it's hooked up during the radio setup, okay?
Right.
So now in our case, if you were just going to the flight field, you could just snap that on. We might be able to snap ours on because this has already been flown, okay? But for the average Joe that's not getting a product sample, you may need to make an adjustment here by running this in or out to get everything squared away. There's also additional hole points. So there's the bottom hole that comes by standard. You can move it to the middle hole or the inside-most hole for more deflection, should you need that for more aggressive 3D flying and so on and so forth. I gotta say, this thing looks more refined and more scaled than the competitive offering. The competitive offering is very beautiful too, but it definitely looks more cartoony. This looks more scale. So I tend to be a scale aficionado. That's the stuff I like. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the other offering. I'm just gonna say that right now. I hope this flies as good because the other one flew really good. So that being said, let's continue. I noticed the nose gear is white, as in white. The other one is just metal, so I'm not sure why that is. And then we have lots of different types of hardware, okay? Now again, ours is all in one bag. Maybe that's not the way it's gonna come for you, but there's quite a little bit of hardware there. So camera crew is gonna give you guys a close-up shot of that. You may have noticed that I am skipping many steps to just get this thing built because I'm quite curious how this is gonna go together. And we have also the fairings as well as some Velcro here. I'm gonna just dump these out and we're gonna just work this piece count down a little bit at a time. This says left. Hey, you have to point the camera where you want it to look.
I'm looking at what you're doing.
Okay, so there's that. And then these are gonna be plugs for the landing gear. Okay, I don't know if those are gonna be used except for in the condition where you've got floats. Not 100% sure, but it is possible that there might be a handful of other parts. This is just some hook and loop. I'm gonna put that back in the bag for the moment. We may need that, not sure if we're gonna do that with our anti-slip shelf liner.
This is the most different screws
I
that
know.
we've seen in a long time.
Can you come out with a camera, please? I wanna show them this. So we also have the landing gear, okay? So that's got 5 screws, but there's a lot of screws on each of these components. Now, I like to see if we can do this stuff without the instruction manual, but we still always want to point out the fact that E-flite does some of the better instruction manuals, and that's one of the reasons why we really like to work with them. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second.
Still sorting.
Super small, super small.
Oh, sorry.
Super small. There's lots of super smalls. These ones, I bet you anything.
But those are longer.
Yeah, they are. You have super short, super short, super short, super small. These ones are about the same length. These ones look like they're about the same. Okay. There's these ones, they're like wood screws. It's so weird. I don't know what they're doing in here. Okay, these are machine screws. Looks like we have a total of 5 of those.
So.
Okay, and then we have a total of 4 of these. These are not all the same.
Nope.
These are different. Because they have different heads.
Yep, so 2 and 2.
Different heads. Different heads. Good Lord. Different bolts. Different machine bolts here. Okay. I have to assume that probably those are going to be for the main wings. Okay.
So if there's 5 of those, then those would be the gear.
Maybe. Because, yeah, these ones here are super similar in finish, but they have a different head style. And then these, some of these might be for floats, too.
These go together. Like, they snap around the gear.
Oh.
For sure. So
okay.
we need 8
so
there.
These,
and they're 2 different lengths.
So there's a right and there's a left. I don't know which one's which, but we'll figure that out. And they're going to go around here because they're not painted, but this is painted. Okay, so it's all starting to come together. Why did they take that apart? Oh, because it had to go in a bag.
Yeah.
And then of course we got the fairings that go to the wings. So there's a lot of little components on this plane. They're going to take some TLC to put together. But let's start with the easiest and just work down the pile size. Okay, so these are Phillips. Why Phillips? Somebody needs to answer that question for me. Phillips. Okay, you're standing where I need to be. If you want to trade sides, I'm going to just go with intuition. Shorter's going to go in the back because there is a longer and a shorter portion of the wing. That is absolutely correct. I got lucky. Okay, so we're going to use the short screws. Now, why did we take the time to show you that process? Because some of you are going to need to take this plane apart and you're going to need to transport it. My suggestion is you could probably take one wing off and get this into most cars, okay? Now, the competitive offering is considerably bigger. It's a 1.6, I think, that just came out. Unless you're talking about the Flex one, which we don't have, and it's huge.
No, we don't. Yeah, it's huge.
That one's, is that a,
I think that's a 2.
2 meter or something? I don't know, that's a lot, but it's like twice this size. And then the 1.1 previous from E-flite is considerably smaller, like a lot smaller. It looks like an ultra micro compared to this. Okay, really easy to use these screws. Sometimes the Phillips just don't turn well, but it's really easy to get good purchase there. Now that I've put that in, I'm gonna flip the plane on its back. The horizontal stabilizer is not secured in any way yet. Looks like there's 2 screws. I just wanna, there's a dihedral, so I'm gonna lay this here on its back and see if I can get it to balance, which I can, okay? Rather than the plane stand, okay? It's staying put. So now let's look through the inventory of screws here. We need 2 screws to go into the tail feathers. I'm guessing those are the 2. Why? Because they are the bigger Phillips screws.
And not these 2? Or those 2?
No, I don't know. I'm just gonna try these because there's only 2. And I'm assuming that these are the bigger surfaces.
Do I need to have a hand on this?
Yeah, put a hand down on it. It's fine, you're not gonna hurt anything. I'm just gonna drop this in. Ah, what do you know? Look at that. My intuition has served us all well today, except that it's not going in. I wonder where that'll go then. Oh, could be the wings. So my intuition is telling me we're gonna have to read the manual on this one. I don't like reading the manual.
No.
But we do it. We'll take one for the team, maybe, on this one. And camera crew's gonna let go. I'm gonna take the plane. I gotta say, I am curious if this would fly without all the fairings on it, because it looks like it might.
Oh.
I don't wanna find out I'm wrong.
No.
So we're gonna actually set the plane up right here, because I like this spot better for this plane. It's so big. Okay, so when you put it on your plane stand, it's not tall enough to reach the table. That's really nice.
That is nice.
And I'm gonna slide it back so I can get it tipped up a little bit. So those were too big, hon.
It says that we need the 8mm countersunk machine screws.
Uh-huh.
And there should be at least 4 of those because we're gonna use them in the fairings as well.
There's how many? 2?
Yeah.
And we need
at least 2 more.
there's 2, and then, well, yeah, but there's 6 of those. Then look, there's 8mm, good Lord. I'm hoping yours come in a different package, folks.
So the 10mm machine screws for the landing gear are correct. So we know that those are right.
What are you saying, machine screws?
These are the 5 that go in.
So let's put those on. Let's do some more process of elimination. Before we get too excited, I just want to make sure, okay, you can tell there's nutsers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab one of these screws and I'm going to just see if it goes in. Yep, it goes in, okay? So you can test that if you want to. Now, my only fear with doing this first is that it's going to make it harder to put on the fairing. Nope, you have to do it first. Nope, you don't have to do it first. You can do it first or second, doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to just grab a Phillips screwdriver. I got 3 of them out. This happens to be the kind of the middle size, the 4mm, so it'll be like 1.5. Phillips 1.5. I drop the back central one in. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. Ooh, do we have to have the fairings on before we can do this?
No.
No, you can't do it yet.
No, I don't think so.
You have to put those on second.
The directions make it sound like that goes on first.
Okay. What are these things you speak of?
I know that you don't know that they exist, but.
Okay, the camera crew and I are we are screwing like crazy. Behind the scenes here, we're just gonna get this thing all assembled. Thanks for being here on Brian Phillips RC with us. We appreciate your patronage. If you want to smash the like button, if you like the long format where we actually do all the things instead of just telling you, oh, this was the problem or that was the problem. Nope, we'll just let you watch the problem with us because that's the way we do it on Brian Phillips RC. That does make for a longer video and we appreciate that some people are in a hurry. Our apologies, this is not a short video, okay? But if you're looking for a short video, I wouldn't hold your breath. Not here at least.
Not here.
Our flights are the shortest part, if that. All right, so I think the next move that's gonna eliminate the most hardware, hey, does the spring go forward or backward?
The spring goes back.
Back?
To the back, yep.
Now there's 2 screws that hold a cover here, and I do not see a cover in
It needs.
Point down the camera. There's 2 screws that go in, okay?
8mm washer head self-tapping screws.
Come look. Washer head self-tappers.
Yes.
Right there.
Yep.
Beautiful.
I agree.
Smaller Phillips this time. These are all Phillips. Oop, that's 4mm. I'm gonna get the 3mm out, okay? If you guys like the screwdrivers, everybody always asks us about these screwdrivers. These were a gift from one of our longtime viewers. And I'm forgetting now, was it Tom?
Rick. No, these are from Rick.
Rick, oh, they come from Rick.
Tom sent.
I would say your last name, Rick, but I don't want to say it on camera in case you don't want the world to know that name.
He knows who
But we
he
do
is.
have, you know who you are. But the thing is, we have links to these things if you guys like them. So they've been really good. They remind me of the ones that Flight Test used to sell. And so that's why I like them so much. And the thing I really like about these is you can undo that set screw. You can pull this out and chuck it into a drill if you're into that sort of thing. That being said, we don't often have to do that, but it is nice in certain applications. These you really got to press to get purchase in. It's wanting to pop out of this tip, just so you guys know. In fact, I'm going to go to the next size. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see. Can you give another view angle so they can see this? I'm hitting the wheel, trying to get in. There we go. Okay. It's not a big deal, but just so you guys can see the struggle. All right, so we've got those in. Now we're getting down to a very limited amount of piece count. we may have to measure a couple of things, unfortunately.
But
guys, let's look for a sec here. We got 2 of these things. These fairings are going to go into the wing, and they're going to go out to the nacelle. Okay, there's only one way they can go. Now remember, we cannot forget to put our bolts in the wings back there. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is going to slide in, receive, and then be ready to go. These are machine type screws. I can tell now that we have assembled it, and they're going to be these real small ones.
Not the smallest
nope,
ones.
the next size up. These ones. How do I know?
You need 2 different sizes. You need
no,
an 8
I know, but I'm
and a
just saying,
12.
show the people what I just took. These ones. They're not the smallest.
Nope.
There's 2 small ones.
I don't think that's right, because we need 4s and 6s somewhere else, which would be the 2 smallest sizes.
So you're saying this won't work?
Yeah, it's too short.
That's too short? Mm-hmm. Okay. So like, it worked perfect.
Okay, but you need a short screw somewhere else.
So you're saying those short ones are supposed to go there?
No, those short ones are going to go in these things.
Okay, those are the short ones.
But you need 4 of them.
Yeah.
Because there's 2, and then there's 2 over here. So you need 4 total.
Where's the 4? I only see 1.
1, 2, and then the one you just used.
Oh, no. There's the 4th.
Okay.
So guys, they're super close on size. So these are the bigger ones.
Okay.
That is not very easy to tell apart. I'm just going to tell you right now, there's going to be some guesswork. I'm hoping that yours come in a individual package so you can tell which one's which. And by the way, I just want to point out a not color match here. This paint is supposed to be white, and it is gray. Or is it supposed to be gray and gray?
I think it's gray, and then this stripe is gray.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So I just wanted to point out what looked like might be a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Okay, so the camera crew has told me now, in no uncertain terms, while paused, you used the wrong screws here, but these screws did work, just so you know. They would have worked, but you're supposed to be using the next size longer.
Yes.
These are going to be facilitating the build of the small fairings for the landing gear. Okay, so I'm using this one now here, and it should also go because the shaft size is almost identical.
Yes, it's just slightly longer.
Okay, so this is one of those times where there's more protrusion on this particular screw, meaning I can feel it hitting my middle finger, the pad of my middle finger. So I just want to use that middle finger to communicate my thoughts about these particular screws.
I didn't pick the screws.
The camera crew and I have been married for how long?
A long time.
Okay. So now that you guys know that. Okay, there's the small, hold on, let's just show the people the world. Look at the difference in these screws.
I didn't say it was a huge difference.
Well, I am
That wasn't the argument.
I don't know if I would qualify that as an argument. I would qualify that as a clarification.
Okay, that wasn't the clarification.
Well, which one comes with the makeup?
That's an argument.
Okay, that was a huge argument. A blow-up argument. Okay.
I mean, I don't disagree that the other ones
This
work.
is not working well, though, because my screwdriver does not want to drive this. It's hard to press against, folks. Not a big deal. It's just kind of annoying. I could go to the next size up. These are magnetic, by the way. You see, that's why they keep like pulling together like that. So I'm going to go to the next size up and see if that helps with these ones. These ones are the slightly longer, very, very slightly longer. Okay. And you do have to take all this crap off to take the wings off.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, I mean, you could just like undo this, leave that one,
yeah.
And then you could take off the top screws. But just remember, you're going to need a couple of different screwdrivers to do this. Yeah, these screws are not very easy to drive. Hon, that feels too long. That feels too long.
That one is a flat head and that one is like a rounded head. Does it matter?
Yes. Yes, it does. This one is too long. It's too long. I can't get enough, I can't get the shaft deep enough in the penetration.
Well, then it's not the right size.
This is the wrong screw, okay? I tend to think that this would work in an application that's different than what I'm using it in, and this might be a thinner shaft. Let's see if the shaft size makes a difference. Guys, if you try to ram the shaft into a tight hole and it doesn't fit, oh, that fits a lot better, hon.
Okay.
Like, I'm serious. That is night and day difference. Goodness gracious. That is so close too. Like, we're not used to having tolerances that tight on differences in hardware. Okay, so guys, you see the difference? This one has the countersunk head and this one doesn't.
Yep.
That's for the horizontal stabilizer.
I still don't think that's right, actually.
Really?
I'm not sure where these go.
They go on the horizontal stabilizer.
No, I think it's the
You
other
think
ones.
the other ones, because they got red paint on them, right?
And they say 8 millimeters, and those are 12.
Well, these definitely fit, folks.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you, we've done this before on planes. This is a process of elimination plane, okay? And there is a lot of screws.
Or it's a read the directions plane.
Read the directions? Sick. All right, so guys, real quick, let's just look at what's left. We have 2 screws here, and then we have 2 bigger screws here. Camera crew, I had my measuring apparatus ready to go. I'm glad we had to get that out just to avoid it. We have 2 screws that go on that tail feathers, and I think it's these.
Yes.
Why? Only because we have red paint from whoever built it for the product sample.
And they're supposed to be 8 millimeter countersunk, which would be those.
These are definitely countersunk. Okay, well, that's true. Then I guess in that case, I'm gonna go back to the big screwdriver.
Okay, let's try it.
Because I'm still missing
I
stick the head in,
screw.
and if it fits good, then I keep going.
Well, I know.
And I'm telling you right now, this head fits better. This is the 5 millimeter. It's like the bigger screw. It's the one I use for the main wings. Okay, that's definitely the right screw. There is no doubt about it. So guys, the bigger, beefier screws are the ones you need for the wings. The longest, the shorter, and then the smallest, but they're all the beefiest ones, okay?
Yeah.
You'll understand when you build it yourself, folks. It's really pretty easy once you do it. And when I say easy, I mean it's still a gigantic pain in the butt trying to figure out between the two. Okay, so that one's got a little scrapage on it. You guys see what I was talking about earlier? See?
Oh, yeah, I see that.
I don't like that. That makes me sad.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
I know. Okay, so let's continue on with the fairings. I'm not looking forward to these fairings. All right, so a couple things quick. We have 2 screws here that we don't know where they go. And then we have 4 and 4 and we know where they go.
Yep.
These are left and right marked. Okay, so left, as in if it's upside down, that'd be, is this correct?
If it's upside down.
That would be the left side, okay? Then I don't know which one's which. Are these the same or they look symmetrical? There's symmetry. Do they snap? Oh, that would make my day. Please snap. They don't snap. Son of a gun. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can pivot the plane.
Okay.
Now guys, if you have a plane stand and you're like me and you don't wanna be at a weird angle, you can tip it like that. Okay, give me the other inside piece and see if it's not any better fit.
Okay.
I think they're symmetrical. The inside portion.
I think they are.
They are.
Too.
There's no difference that I can perceive. Okay. So we just got to put screws in. This is going to suck.
The smaller screws go in the lower hole closer to the wheel.
Okay.
If that was clear. Sorry.
Camera crew, you can't film from my back. Yeah. Oh yeah, that pulls it in nicely. Once you get the small screw in, it fits good. So I'm just grabbing another small screw and I'm just gonna go ahead and get that lined up and go to town. Okay. Well, it's super easy.
And then the slightly
bigger ones go up here. I'm gonna have to press the plastic together to get that to line up, and really good. Hey, you know what? Sometimes
I mean, if it works,
it works.
Lines up,
It works.
It's easy.
You know where those screws go? I think I figured it out.
Yeah, I think
they
I
go
do too.
here and here.
Yep.
And that's going to be a float, sort of integral float equipment. This looks like it's pulled out just a hair. Let me see if I can run that in. Nope, not with that screwdriver. All right, so now the other one, this says R for right. So we'll just put that on there. Then we'll just kind of snap this into position. And were we supposed to put that on before the foam? I don't know that we were.
No, you were not.
Okay. So guys, this build has actually been very easy, to be honest. There's just a lot of screws. Like a lot of screws. as long as they're well-fitting screws, it's not a big deal. Would I rather have less screws? Absolutely. 100%. I'd rather have less screws. This is really hard for me to reach. I got to switch sides now. Sorry. That one was easier because it was down closer to my chest.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, on Brian Phillips RC, we show the entire process, start to finish, so you can have less guesswork in your life, because if it comes from China, you never know. China cheats, okay? This comes from China through an American company. Remember, if an American company is involved and the company has any clout with the Chinese manufacturer, then you'll get a better product. If you buy from a Chinese company, a Chinese product, all bets are pretty much off.
Yeah.
They're just selling into America and hoping that you will not know any better. That's not always true, but our experience has been, if there's not an American distributor involved, there's a high probability of failure. It doesn't mean everything that comes from China ends up being garbage. It just depends on how it's being ordered and who's paying for it, okay? Most of our partners that are in China, they deliver goods, and you can usually kind of tell a difference, but they're cheaper, okay? All right, 2 screws. 2 lonesome screws. Where do these 2 screws go?
I think you're right about the floats.
You think they go on there?
We've used those.
That is a terrible drawing.
Those.
Those were way shorter.
Those we used. Those. Yep. Because then the next page is not this. Like it's built.
Okay, let's see what happens.
So those must go with the floats.
They go with the floats.
I think you're right.
All right, so these 2 screws, I don't normally do this, but because the nature of this plane, I am going to go ahead and install these screws and see if they purchase. Okay, they are self-tapping, they have a flat head, so it speaks to potentially fitting there. If I'm wrong, it's not gonna really hurt anything, so I'm gonna just go with trying this. And then my hope is that when I need them, they'll be available. I won't have to go searching for a package of 2 screws. Many times when I mount floats on a plane, I have a bag that has all the necessary goodies, and I use it. There's another. Is that another fin?
I don't know.
We'll have to look at the picture.
Yeah.
Does it show it? I don't see it in the manual. Yes. There's a third. 1, 2, and 3. So we were shorted fins. This is the second time early samples have come without fins.
Yeah.
We'll have to have a discussion about fins.
Fins.
Okay, so we'll just keep going with this. Yeah, on the B2, we didn't have the fin, and we didn't really need it, I guess. But it would have been nice to know if it did anything. That's really, I'm really having to work to get purchased there. But I'm not gonna have to search for it now.
Right.
And if that's the wrong hole, I repent. I promise. I'll use better aim. There it is. Jet powered, just kidding. There's no props yet. But that does look pretty sweet.
It does.
I gotta say, I like the way this looks. I gotta say, I like it slightly better than the competitive offering for looks. But I haven't flown it yet. I'm hoping that it flies as good as it looks, because it looks pretty dang good.
Yeah.
So folks, here on Brian Phillips RC, we show the entire process. One process we haven't shown yet is putting the props on. Now, if you're in any doubt about your security, your safety on putting on the props at this point, just don't do it yet. Wait. If you have any predisposition against having props installed while you're doing setup, then just do this later. It's not a big deal. Won't hurt you. But putting them on in the wrong time could hurt you, okay? So I'm gonna get a larger Phillips screwdriver, because I gotta unscrew this spinner. These are large machine screws too. Okay, here it comes. Very good. So now these are colored as well, so I'll just go ahead and pull off. Here's a trick too. If you put this on wrong, you'll know that it's wrong because it won't fit. Okay, you see how that fits perfectly? Now watch what happens if I put the wrong one on. You know which way, because they're painted. Yeah, see, it won't fit. See how it doesn't fit?
Yep.
Point where it doesn't fit.
Right here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so there's a nut and a washer. holding back this thing because that's going to lock. It should lock. Does it have an octagonal? Let me do it. It's not wanting to come undone. Does that actually move?
It's probably counterclockwise to get it off. Right?
Oh, you know what?
Are you tightening it instead of loosening it?
I think that might have been what I was doing. Kind of embarrassing, but yet. Yep, I was totally. Thank you, camera crew. Good catch. I appreciate you watching me struggle for so long before saying something.
Well, I'm usually wrong.
Okay. So texture plus texture would normally make friction, but there's texture where there's nothing, and then there's these things where there's texture, okay? On the motor mount, so we'll just slide that back. Seems to provide enough texture to get this done at least, which is good. So I'm just kind of hanging on. There's not a lot of great places to hold on. There we go. Okay, so that's on there. Then this washer, I'm gonna put the washer on. Then I'll put this nut on, and I'm gonna try to spin it on. I'm gonna fail miserably because I'm gonna have to go backward, which is so strange. Your brain figures out what direction to spin things.
Okay.
Thank you. I was literally trying to do that backward, and my brain was like, no soup for you.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to find a way to
Tighten
that, like with a crescent wrench or something. So what I'm gonna do is I wanna work on getting this other one unscrewed. Camera crew is gonna grab the crescent wrench.
Okay.
Because she's standing and I'm sitting. And then I'll show you guys what it looks like under this spinner so you can see the difference. Now the screws on the end are just standard screws, so you just turn those like normal. But it does kind of help if you kind of hold the assembly. Okay, so I just left that screw in there. So you see this is Christmas colors, so it's green and this is red. Horizon, you missed the boat on that one. Should have released this for Christmas. I thought they probably would have liked to.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll pull that off. Let this come off. Slide that back. And the whole motor assembly is red. It's orange, and then this is red, okay? On you go. I'm holding on to this actually, but I could hold the landing gear too. Then this. If you guys didn't know this, there is a punch mark on these, and the way these are pressed in, it goes psh, stamps like that, and that's how you can tell which way the washer is to go. They got a sharper edge here and a rounded edge here. Did you know that, camera crew? Mm-hmm. Okay. Only picky people know these things. See how I'm holding the nose gear? Oh, that's so much easier when you can turn it the normal way. So much less confusing. Okay, now it's spinning. So now I'm gonna just go to crescent wrench. Now this is a metric crescent wrench.
Make sure you get the metric one.
Get the metric one, okay. Torque that down. That's for Chinese stuff.
He's gonna not know that you're joking.
Huh? You think somebody's not gonna know?
Hopefully they.
If you didn't know I was joking, just order the metric wrench. Okay.
Okay, remember you're going backwards now, so away from me, towards you.
What, away from what? From the top or the bottom?
The top.
So what you're saying is, like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to tighten.
Yeah, good.
Okay, all right guys. So now we're gonna put these spinners back on, and should be a relatively simple. This has been a really easy build, except for identifying screws.
Only because somebody doesn't read the directions.
Yeah, I know, we're gonna, when we get off camera, I will talk to the camera crew about that.
About the directions.
We'll have a long, detailed conversation about why you shouldn't try to talk me out of the right thing. Gotta say, I love these exhausts. It's so cool.
Yeah.
All right, so if you guys are fans of the Twin Otter, leave it in the comments below. Let us know about your personal experiences with the Twin Otter, whether it be a model aircraft or a full scale that you have been inside of. Maybe you're a pilot. I'm always curious to hear about that. Obviously, I'm a sucker for full scale aviation, just like I am for RC, but RC is just a little easier to manifest in my real world. And so we do a lot more of that. Okay, tight and tight. Very good. Now, there were also some stickers for this plane too. If you're into Canadian stuff, then you could use, you know, I think that stands for de Havilland. Canada or something like that. So, and I'm just gonna flip it and see if there's anything here that's American. Nope. Okay, well that's fine. We'll just go ahead and put that there.
Okay.
That being said, the next step on this process is going to be our radio setup portion, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're already there. That
So-
was incredibly quick.
There's literally nothing to plug in since you have those quick disconnects on the wings.
Well,
Everything's plugged into the receiver.
that is true, but you may need a ball link plier
Yes,
to snap the elevator on, okay?
but that's the only one.
That's right. And so my concern is this has a feature that I'm sort of like, it's a love-hate relationship for us because we do a channel on YouTube where we teach people how to set up their transmitters. And so having a downloadable file is both extraordinarily helpful and terrible at the same time because first of all, you get the downloadable file out of the receiver and then it comes into your transmitter and then it sets up whatever the factory wanted. Well, we don't always agree with the things that the factory wanted us to have. Now we want to do a stock comparison, meaning we're not going to change the throws or redo anything. And we might fix stuff that we see that's wrong, like a broken rudder. I'm not even sure if we're going to mess with that, to be honest, because it's mostly attached. And mostly attached is probably fine. I'm like honestly I'm not sure, because really the only way to fix that is to rip that all the way out. I could put a CA hinge in there, pull it back, and then try to stick it in there. What do you think, camera crew?
I don't know. I mean,
I can't do a tape hinge on that. Oh, except you
can't?
could. I could do tape from here and then cross through, and then there and cross through, but that's incredibly difficult to do with it still being attached. So the other thing I could do is I could take a finger hinge, which, you know, Robart makes these hinges, and you can take and just stick one in there and it'll wiggle like it looks like, you know, the end of a worm or whatever. And you could potentially move the rudder and do that, or I could disconnect the ball link, which would allow me to play it back and forth. I could also put a thin piece of plastic in there. Do we have any plastic I could use from like a recent packaging, like garbage? I want to teach people how to do these things. I don't want to just do it to fix mine.
like receiver packaging garbage?
That's
or
too thick.
That's
too thick.
Ugh.
We're gonna take a quick second, and only for the sake of, if you happen to have a similar circumstance, we'll go ahead and show how we're gonna fix that, because I don't wanna lose a plane over a rudder that breaks free, but I do wanna show you how to fix it. So we'll come right back with some material. X-Acto knife, scissors. Provided materials with the plane. Okay, we're gonna fix this right now. You could use tape if you wanted. I think tape is gonna be our solution because we have most of the purchase still on there, meaning it's only just the top that got ripped a little bit. So I don't know what caused that. We'll find out when we fly it. Of course, if you want the stickers, you can put those on. They look like they're pretty decent quality. Cut here in emergency, what the heck? And then they have all these things that go around the doors. I don't know if I want those though. But because I don't want those, that means that we have backing that we can take like this. And that's some thick stuff. Now, is it gonna stick as good as I hope? I don't know, but we're about to find out right now here on Brian Phillips RC. I'm kind of hoping this isn't an issue for you and you're just watching this and you will just be pointing and laughing. That'd be ideal. But if this becomes a bit of a problem after maybe a hit to the ground or something funny. Okay. So I'm gonna take this. This has an alignment indicator here. So I'm gonna just cut this into two somewhat equal parts. That's gonna be my limiting factor. Then I'll come over here and cut one more. Or better yet, I could probably make 4. That's what I'm gonna do. I'll make 4, okay? So then this becomes, they're all the same now for size. And I just gotta cut off the alignment marking. A little bit more, okay. So now I've got 4 pieces that are close to the same size. This one's a little bit longer. You wouldn't have to take off the excess, but I'm gonna take off the excess, okay? So now these are decals. So that's why I got myself an X-Acto knife because an X-Acto knife helps me to apply this deep into the hinge. Now this works best if you can apply to both sides of the hinge. Now some hinges are easier admittedly than this because this has a little bit of thickness to it, but we'll see if we can get it done. Okay, here on Brian Phillips RC, we like to talk about how to deal with real world problems and not necessarily going after manufacturers when they have real problems, okay? This does not feel very tapey. I don't know if it's gonna work. Oh, maybe it is. So I pressed it here on the leading edge, and this knife is gonna be way too sharp, so I'm gonna have to get a different type of apparatus, like a flat screwdriver. This might work, but you see it's kind of pointy. It should get us into the groove nicely. I can kind of keep this, resist it touching. I'm just gonna go back to where that hinge starts. See how I'm riding this right there? Now I can pull it back and just see if I can get it to stick to the face. Okay, and then I'm gonna fold this over and I'll fold this back and we'll see if that works. And this might not be sticky enough, okay? So that will help keep that centered. Now we'll do that on both sides, obviously, and we'll see if I feel confident that it's gonna hold it in its central position, but not prevent it from moving back and forth. I mean, you want it to move, you want it to be strong, but you don't want it to prevent it moving.
Right.
It's already popping off. So I'm just thinking this stuff is probably just not sticky enough, okay? So we'll still try it in our somewhat vain attempt. Push it on. Walk the screwdriver into the bottom of the seam, press it in tight, press the face, and then wrap it, okay? So then hypothetically, that's gonna help rebuild that hinge. Now, the problem with this particular choice is that that stuff wasn't sticky enough, and so it's already wanting to let go, okay? So if this was sticky enough, you could get away with it. You know, the other thing you could use is China glue, would help hold that.
And just glue the tape
Glue
down?
the tape because it's so clear. China glue or foam to foam would work for that. And I think it'll be a permanent enough solution that we're gonna try that. The thing I don't like about using packing tape is that it's so thin and then over time it responds poorly to UV. And the ultraviolet light when you're flying is just, sometimes it doesn't work out well. Now, foam to foam is a little bit less tacky than the China glue, so I'm gonna go with China glue on this one. Both are gonna be similar. Foam to foam would probably work fine. You can get foam to foam from Horizon. We got links to this stuff too. They're both about the same price.
Yeah.
This just happens to be slightly more tacky, so I'm gonna go with it on this particular repair. And keep in mind, early samples sometimes come with a little early damage, even before I had a chance to screw it up. Okay, so just gonna peel this out of the seam. Now we've got a nice, we've got access to where we can get this glue on here. Try to keep the oils from your hands off of it as much as possible. Should be pretty easy process, okay? Just a little bit sticky. Okay, so here we go. And guys here, welcome to Brian Phillips RC. If you're brand new to the channel, thanks for coming here. Thanks for watching what we're doing here. And you're probably thinking, why the heck am I watching this guy glue his hinge back together? Well, that's probably because you've got the bug. Why do I like this stuff? Look at that. That's why I like that stuff. I can wipe it off my fingers and it's gone, okay? Clean-ish, gone, cleanish, okay? Not so much with the foam. It will stick on there and just make it hold forever. This is incidentally the same type of glue that they use many times to hold the halves of the fuselage together in most of the modern planes, the foamies that we play with every day, okay? So now I'm pressing that down and then I'm pressing this down and I'm just gonna let it sit. I'm not gonna force out the glue. I'm not gonna peel it back like I do sometimes for the simple fact that I just want it to go on the surface. If it walks up, I don't care. I'm gonna let it walk up and then I'll come back to it and press it back down and it'll tack and then it will be exposed to the oxygen and it's gonna work fine, okay? So are there more than one way to skin this cat? Absolutely there is. There's two, okay? There's about 40.
Only one way is right.
Okay, so I'm gonna peel this out now that we've done that. we kind of have a method to our madness. So now we can come in here and just go ahead and apply the China glue. And the reason I kind of tend to prefer the China glue on an application like this is because it's very, very clear and it's very, very tacky. The foam to foam will tack up, but it tends to not start quite as tacky, okay? Do I have that the right way?
No.
I have it upside down.
Yes.
That's the right way, okay. Do you guys see what I'm doing? I'm just taking the little bit and I'm pushing it around with my thumb. And the reason I love this stuff is because that would be a nightmare. If you had CA on your thumb like that,
yeah,
you would not be able to wipe it off like that. You would have to grit and bear it. You would have CA hardening on your finger. It'd be a real mess. And then you'd have to use like acetone to clean it off if you really wanted it clean, okay? Okay, so now I'm gonna press this into the joint. And see, what's nice about China glue is it'll stay resilient even though it's stuck really well, it's still gonna be flexible to a certain degree, okay? Now I'm gonna press this on here knowing full well it's gonna wanna pop free, and that's fine. And I'm gonna do the same here. And I'm just gonna push that down knowing full well it's going to want to pop free. When it does, it's gonna be exposed to the air and then it'll tack down like something fierce on the second go round. So I don't know if I'm gonna do a second one. See, it's already wanting to pull up, that's fine, I don't care. Now look on the other side with me for a minute. See how this side popped up, that side didn't. Watch this. That's tacking up to the point where once you push that down the second or third time, and I'm talking within the course of 10 minutes, you'll probably do it twice, okay? It's gonna stay and you'll be able to hold the plane by that rudder, okay? Like hold the entire weight of the plane by the rudder. In fact, that'll probably outlast my first crash if I do crash and break the rudder free, because that stuff is really strong. Okay. Now, that being said, it's really strong, but it's also really easy to get off your fingers. That's why I like it. That's why we use it. And it's just a really good product for foam media. Okay. Now, my only drawback with foam to foam, like I said, is that it goes on and it seems to have almost like an oxidation layer to it. And so you have to kind of spread it out and then tack both sides. Spread it on both surfaces, touch it, and it will be just as strong then. This is very clear too, and it's also more legally made, let's say. Okay? All right, so we'll come back periodically and check that, but that should get us plenty of horizontal support on the vertical portion of the rudder that had a break in it, okay? And that means that we won't need to do the second tape joint that I was thinking. I was thinking we were gonna do one on the top and one down below, so that you'd have two contact points, but honestly, I don't think we need the second one. Okay. That should take care of it. Okay, so in true Brian Phillips RC fashion, we've taken a 10-minute video and made it into a 3-hour video, and we do that all the time for your viewing pleasure. Hopefully the answers that we bring you on this channel will be enough to captivate our audience into smashing the like button. So please do it right now. Also, these labels or stickers in this case are gonna go back in here in case I change my mind. And that's a good way to store your stickers. And it looks like there is that little teeny one there. I don't know what that says.
I don't know what that is. Looks like an eagle.
I can't tell what it says either. I'm sorry. We would read it if we knew, we would share it, but we just can't tell. All right, so the radio setup portion of this video is going to go just like always, but we're probably going to go ahead and see what the profile does just to see what it does, right? So the other thing is we'll eventually check the center of gravity, which we will use the calipers for, and then we might need to quickly get our ball link snapped so we don't forget that, okay? It would be easy to forget on this plane because it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, okay?
Do you want to stick this little tabby down now that it's been a minute?
Show the people.
Here on that side, because you did the other one.
Show the people. Show them at tack. Show the tack. Give them an ultra close up, okay? Nothing happening behind the camera.
Super tacky.
Okay, so watch this. Stick it down and look. And you're probably thinking to yourself, but Brian, you got to babysit that forever? No.
No.
You'll literally have to babysit it maybe once.
Yeah, maybe.
And it'll hold it. It just will, okay? All right, test me. If you don't believe me, just do it, okay? It works really good. All right, so now, here's the radio setup portion of the video if you want to do the easy way out. We're going to show. Normally we put the plane like this so that the tail is pointed toward us for a couple of different reasons. A, if you do something stupid, like set up your throttle cut wrong, or you're doing some testing and it flies off, tries to land in your stove or your oven, then it'll go away from you instead of into your face. But also, it's good for testing the control surfaces in order that you don't get confused if you're new to this skill of piloting RC aircrafts. It'll be a helpful thing. So that's the way we like to do it in most circumstances, okay? All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fire on our transmitter. Throttle cuts on, throttle sticks down, okay? So even if this stick were up, it wouldn't matter if we were on a model that doesn't have throttle cut assigned. You still want to have good throttle stick management and control, okay? Discipline, right? So you can see B2 micro twin. That was our last plane. Also notice that trim. Look at that, way down there.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, so we're gonna cancel and back. It's gonna take us to add new model. And we're gonna create an acro. Okay, how do I know we're gonna create an acro? By the way, this is gonna take forever because I have a million models in here. Camera crew is gonna stand right there. And then we're gonna look right here. There's 3 different methods. We have the DX series, they have the NX series, and then they have the IX series. Okay, so if you're using an IX20, IX10, whatever, or not IX10, IX14, IX12, IX20.
20.
Yep. The NX6, NX8, NX10, and NX20 now. We don't have the 20 yet, but we do have the NX10. Okay, so it's ready for us now. I gotta scooch this forward just a hair. I don't want it to go off the end of the island. How do I know to pick an acro? Well, they tell you this right here. On this, it says power on your transmitter, add new model, select airplane model type by choosing the airplane, and create.
If you're gonna set it up yourself. And not if you're gonna do the smart transmitter file.
Yeah, that's true. But you can follow this or you can do this, okay? My suggestion is we'll do this so you can see what the transmitter file looks like. If we have any issues with it, then we'll come back out of it and we'll create a brand new model, okay?
Okay.
Now, we just recently did, full disclosure, we just recently did a full Twin Otter from a plug and fly setup. So if you want to follow that model, we just did it very recently. I just gotta stretch over there. So if you guys are curious and you want to follow along, you can follow along. It's got Spectrum receiver in it, and it's going to give you all the setup techniques we did for that. But in this case, all we need to do is grab our battery, and we're going to go into the bind setup. And once we're bound, it's going to prompt us with the choice, okay? So I've got a new model created, okay? Throttle cut is not on, but I'm gonna go ahead and set it up just for good measure. It's not gonna matter because it's gonna be written anyway. Down here you can see throttle is stuck at -100. Very good. So throttle cut is on, even though I generically don't know whether or not to trust or not trust this thing, okay? Having that antenna would be nice for pulling this off, but we don't have one.
Right.
Oh, the other thing is China glue. When we get to the point where we find out where the battery is to be, we could China glue this back down if we wanted.
Yeah.
Okay. Heavy duty quality straps here. Oh, and then a shelf liner trick. 2 options, okay? Either one are fine. We can still be friends if we disagree about this. A lot of people like to put Velcro or hook and loop. It looks like this time they've got the sharper hooks and then the softer is gonna go on the battery. So you take your beautiful battery and then just put it right over all the information you need. Or you could put it here, and it'll be wrong. Or you can put it here and it'll end up being wrong. Or you can put it here and it'll end up being wrong. That's why we always do the shelf liner trick. So I'm gonna show you the shelf liner trick right now. It's very easy. It's called shelf liner. Shelf liner is used to line shelves. Why would you line a shelf, camera crew?
So that all of your junk doesn't slide around in your
Demonstrate
shelves.
it.
No, because somebody stole all my shelf liner. So
I did?
all of my stuff slides around.
That is really annoying.
We have one, there's one. The kids' drawer is a mess though. There's one in there so all their cups don't slide around. I stole that one back.
So we're gonna take this. This is a shelf liner that we purchased. We have links to the shelf liner at brianphillipsrc.com/supplies. Or you can just go to bprc.me if you don't like to spell words. And then the links that you follow from there will help to support us financially with small contributions to people like us from the people that sell stuff. Okay? That's the way we fund most of our channel, guys. We don't get most of our income from this channel from ad revenue. We get it from sales, okay? So remember, we don't care what you buy. We just want you to be buying it. And at the end of the day, you set the stage for what you need. And so we serve you with the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help us God. Because at the end of the day, we want you guys to be long-term return RC patrons, or whatever you want to call it, okay?
Hobby enthusiasts.
Hobby enthusiasts, there you go. I like that better. There are people that will sell you whatever they're selling that day. We're gonna show you what it is. We're gonna help you make a decision for you. We don't care if you like this one. If you like something that we did before better, get that. If you like something that we did next week that we haven't filmed yet, get that instead. If you like both, please, by all means,
Get them both.
Get them both. Don't ask your wife. She doesn't want to know about this.
No, she doesn't.
She's definitely going to be happy that you didn't bring it up, right?
Why'd you put your battery lead to the back?
For reasons that shall be disclosed shortly.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so I'm pulling this strap through. Heavy duty quality strap. And I'm gonna slide around. Now guys, here on Brian Phillips RC, we also try our very best to show what's good about a plane and what's bad about a plane without necessarily making the decision as to whether or not it's good or bad. We just show what it is, okay? So there's a lot of things on this plane that I think are very good. There's a few things that are a little annoying. I think the things that have been annoying for us have to do with the product sample condition. Like we have some things that are a little bit goofed up.
Yep.
You guys will not experience that. So I'm hoping that that's true. Now also there is a cover over this push rod that goes up to the steerable nose gear. This push rod is covered with plastic. That's nice because you're gonna have your hands in here and you don't have to worry about the wire stroking back and forth and causing a short, which is kind of nice. Now, I'm gonna plug this plane in. Okay, also I just wanna talk about LEDs for a minute. I hear the ESCs attempting to arm. I hear them in a beepy state. Beepy state means they're not gonna hopefully start. So I'm gonna put this back on. Okay, very good. As you can see, very bright LEDs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Beautiful anti-crash beacon or anti-collision beacon. Now, as I bind this, it's probably not gonna let me bind, and that's okay. We'll try though. Why did it fail, camera crew?
Because we didn't actually put the receiver in bind mode.
How do you do that?
You push the button.
Stick your hand in there and push my button.
The nails are too long.
Okay.
There it goes.
It's in bind mode?
Yep.
Okay. Click. Scroll down to bind. Bind. Holding the plane. Go back just a little bit. Only one motor armed. Did you guys hear that? Elevator up, elevator down. It's not hooked up. Roll left, roll right. That is hooked up. Yaw left, yaw right. Oh, look. Do we want to? Let's load it. This will override the setting for this new acro that we created. So now it's going to give you a little scrolly wheel. Look what I'm doing with my hand, folks. Okay, so now she immediately started talking a bunch. Okay, so I don't know if you guys realize this, but you can change your volume by clicking this button and it'll make that flash. And then you can hear all the obnoxious noises.
Volume 100.
Jeez.
Click. I'm gonna put that to like 60, okay?
60.
Okay, now let's check the control surfaces. Elevator up, elevator down. That's not hooked up. Roll left, roll right.
Elevator. Low rate.
Those are rates.
Low rate.
Takeoff flaps, landing flaps, lots of correction.
Landing flaps. Normal mode.
Don't know what this does. Don't know if throttle cut's on, so I'm gonna test it. It does have a throttle cut.
Throttle cut off.
Okay, so we only heard the right motor arm show them the differential, or not differential, but show them the way they spin. Go around the other side so they can see. Counter rotating, and they're spinning into the top of the fuselage. Sounds quiet.
really good.
It's got a lot of power. Ooh, yeah, that's a lot of power. Differential thrust, do we have? Yes, we do. Differential thrust. Okay, there we go. All right, throttle cut's on. Throttle's all the way up, 100%, and moving the rudder. So that means throttle cut has already been set up to control the motors. Okay, so that's good. All right, so come back around. So in this case, now we've got some audio events we have to decide if we want to keep. Because so far, I'm happy with everything with the exception of, right now, the D switch.
Takeoff flaps. Landing flaps. Takeoff flaps. Normal mode.
Okay? And then we're safe. I don't know. Nothing is going on with B, so I'm gonna scroll over one step and I'm gonna see what happens.
Takeoff flaps. Landing flaps. Takeoff flaps. Normal mode.
Okay, so now when I move C, it moves the channel, but nothing happens.
Elevator. Low rates. Elevator. High rates. Aileron. Low rates. Aileron. Low rates. Aileron. High rates. Aileron. Low rates.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Okay, throttle cut is here.
Rudder. Low rates. Rudder. Low rates.
Okay, we're gonna change that all. So the rates, I wanna bring back to switch F, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into rates and expo. Let's see what they set. So ailerons on switch F, so they want it to be 110, 70 and 5, and 70 and 5. Okay, so we're just gonna do our standard setup. This is already on the correct switch, by the way. So I'm gonna set that down to 5. Then I'm gonna set this to 10 with 100% rates. And then I'm gonna set this to about 90. And I'm gonna set expo to 20, okay? Now, this is gonna be our normal takeoff setting. And then when we're in the air, if we want it more sensitive, we can go up. If we want it more deadened, we can go down here, a little bit softer sticks. That's the way we're gonna set it up for all three, but I can't handle it anymore. It's already driven me nuts. So we have to go down to audio events. Switch changes. Yep. Inhibit that.
Elevator. Throttle cut on.
Oh God, it's driving me nuts already.
Elevator. Throttle cut on.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Cut on. Throttle cut on.
Oh boy.
Throttle cut on.
Okay.
Throttle cut on.
That's still just so annoying. Silence and silence. Okie dokie. How about we just do that?
If the sounds are helpful to somebody, though,
Yeah.
leave them.
Just because they're annoying to me and
Yeah.
make me want to jump off the nearest bridge does not mean that it will make you want to do that.
Right.
So I'm just going to go back up here to rates and expo, and I'm going to go from ailerons to elevator. I'm going to go back to switch F. Why? Because that's the way I do it. I'm going to set this to 5% expo, which means that's our higher rate. This is going to be 10% expo. We're going to run this back up to 100. Whoops, I can just click. Okay, so this is going to be 20, and we'll go to 90. Okay, and then we're going to go to rudder, and we're going to change that off of switch G. We're going to be using switch G for something pretty quick here, and it's going to be thrust reverse, I hope. 10. Click. Leave that at 100. The setting, we're going to set that to 20. Clear it out to 100 and then drop it down to 90. Okay. So now that's our normal flight mode. If we want it more touchy, we've got more touchy. And if we want it less touchy, we've got less touchy. Okay. Done with that. Throttle cut, we've already just verified. So it is correct. It is working. Throttle cut is on. I'm going to move the stick. As you can see, it's not moving down there and the props didn't start. That's always good. Okay. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into digital switch setup and just make sure that, well, actually, we got to figure out thrust reverse. So let's do that next. Actually, you know what? We'll do thrust reverse in a second. I have to check out the flap system. They use it on flight mode? Why? Okay, flight mode is just, okay, the reason you would use flight mode is if you want,
Takeoff flaps, landing flaps.
if you want to have different trims, okay? I don't want different trims. If you want different trims, if you use flight mode, you can do that. So if you go down to System Setup, Disconnect RF, scroll down to Flight Mode, now switch D is already occupied by flight modes, okay? So it says normal, takeoff flaps, and landing flaps, which to me is super annoying because I want my flaps here and you guys might not do it that way. You might use D as your flap mode. Congratulations, if you wanna do that, do that. But if you're brand new to the hobby and you don't have anybody helping you and I'm the guy helping you, do it my way for a few times, see if you like it, okay? Right? So I am gonna set up, there is a second switch you can set up incidentally. So we could hypothetically set this to switch B, and then we would take advantage of the settings that they already did and the audio events that they already set up. And then secondarily, I'm gonna set up switch D to another flight mode. Okay, so now it says 5 flight modes, okay. What are you asking?
Can you just go to channel assign and switch your flaps channel?
Switch D, okay? Let's go to next, okay? Now watch this. D0, it's not changing anything. This is changing it. You see that? Mm-hmm. Why is that so hard to read today? See how it's got a matrix now. You guys see that? It's a matrix now. So there's actually 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't necessarily want to have a matrix of flight modes, okay? Because this is still normal mode, normal flight, then takeoff flaps, then landing flaps. But look, it only carried landing flaps through. Takeoff flaps. See what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So that's gonna confuse the matter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and inhibit that again. I'm gonna set this to switch D and I'm just gonna eliminate their stupid audio events and I'm gonna disassociate them, okay? So spoken flight modes, we have the switch D. Now, why do I care? Because I'm gonna change this for my auto leveling, safe, and AS3X on and AS3X off. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do that, but it's gonna be a little different than the default, okay? So now, before we get back to that, I wanna go to channel assign. So channel assign, you can see it looks like channel 7 is assigned to B, okay? We already had flight mode assigned to switch D. I want B to be used for flaps, okay? So I'm going to disassociate that and I am going to go to switch G, okay? Why switch G? Because I'm gonna use that for thrust reverse, okay? It's not a pluggable channel because we have an AR631. So it's anything beyond that is a usable channel for real channel control. You could use only channels 5 through 9, I think, for thrust reverse, okay? All right? You could also use this channel. You could use channel A, except channel A is gonna be used for one of the motors, I think. So we'll find out, okay? So now remember, we're jumping around a little bit because we use the preloaded application, okay?
Takeoff flaps, landing flaps.
So you notice it's still changing that because the flap mode is still attached to flight mode. Nope. Now it's attached to switch B. Now, if you look at this, takeoff flaps, landing flaps. So the audio event ended, right? Now, if you want to have that audio event, I'm just gonna show you this. You can go into audio event, switch changes, add new sound event, switch B. So you can make silence. You could do normal, and then you could do takeoff flaps. I'll have to search for it and we'll show you. When we find it, we'll come right back. Ooh, we do have a flaps up. Okay, so takeoff flaps, and then we'll scroll back down to about where that was. Okay, so this one's gonna be landing flaps, and then this says normal. Well, check this out. I'm gonna do flaps up. Okay, so it's about halfway down this. So now listen.
Takeoff flaps, landing flaps, takeoff flaps, flaps up.
Flaps up?
Takeoff flaps, flaps up.
Oh, it says
Up?
up. It's like flaps up.
It sounds like out.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Okay, so now we have changed the audio event to correspond with what we're doing. But we've got this now stuck in normal, takeoff and landing. But we don't want that, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cancel and back. Whoops, excuse me guys. We're gonna click and scroll down to System Setup. We're gonna disconnect RF. Then we're gonna go back to Flight Mode Setup. Okay, so switch D is set up. Then we're gonna change this from normal to AS3X. Okay, so this is where we're gonna actually type in labels. And this label is gonna be where we have AS3X on. In my case, this is the way I set it up. Is it the right way? Well, it depends on if you agree. You may not agree. AS3X, and this is technically AS3X plus. Watch this. Cancel, cancel, clears everything past. Then I can change the word, the audio event, to say AS3X mode. I really got to figure out how to change the voice. She drives me nuts. Where is that thing? Uh-oh. I've gotten lost.
You didn't go far enough.
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't go past the waypoints.
Oh, good Lord. It's this far down?
Yes.
Why is everything we need in such a far area?
I don't know.
There's save. Stagility.
AS3X mode.
Now, I'm going to change this from cancel, cancel. I'm going to set this to off. Now, I don't even know if I can do off yet, but if there is a mode for off, I'll show you what it looks like right there. Okay. That's just a label. Now, I'm going to scroll down to normal or off. Ooh, where is it? Off. Off.
Off. AS3X mode off.
Okay, so now landing flaps. Go highlight, cancel, cancel. Now I'm going to scroll in safe for sensor assisted flight envelope. So now if you don't know what sensor assisted flight envelope is, it is a tool that's used to help automatically level the plane and other things. One of our supporters wants me to go into great detail on all these cool things you can do with heading hold and all these.
Safe mode.
And unfortunately, we probably won't do that because
AS3X mode.
it's just going to confuse the average Joe to a large extent, I fear. Okay, so channel assign. We still have channel G to figure out as well, okay? So channel G. Sorry, it was taking a second to reboot. I was getting a little nervous there. So channel G, oh, look. Now it says AS3X. Off. Safe. Okay.
AS3X mode.
Take off.
Flaps. Landing flaps. Flaps up.
Okay, pretty cool. Now the other thing is we have to do forward programming, but before we do forward programming, we got to get all this crap worked out, okay? So this crap, including the fact that our elevator isn't hooked up. So why don't we do that? A little bit out of order, but I got distracted. Can you blame me? There's so many awesome things to do. Okay, I'm just gonna stick them down, make sure everything feels good. The rudder seems to be totally fine with that, by the way.
Yeah.
No issues with that. I need to press that into the hinge though. Do you see what's going on, camera crew? Show the people. Do you see what happened?
Oh, it's popping out just a little bit.
I need to push it into the deep portion of the hinge. Okay? So you guys see what happened? When I move the rudder, it reminded me that I didn't get that pushed in tight enough, okay? See what I'm doing? Push it in tight, let that stick, and it will let you slide it while it's still kind of fresh. Now come over to the other side, double check. You gotta go further. Press it in tighter, press it in tighter, press it in tighter. And once it's in tight, then you can just give it a good little grip. Now look at this. Beautiful, guys. Look at that. That's going to hold nicely. I feel like I need to go a little bit more on this one, this side. Okay. And I don't care if it pulls from the front or if it pulls from the rear, meaning from this portion or that portion, doesn't really matter to me. As long as it gets deep into the... Yeah, that'll hold.
Looks good.
That should be fine, guys. And then over time, if we experience any more issues with that, what I'll do is I'll actually cut the whole thing all the way down the seam. I'll pull it away and I'll put in some CA hinges or some plastic that I can glue in like 4 or 5 spots, real small, and then just glue them on both sides. Okay, so that should be good. You also want to make sure you pay special attention when you do that type of hinge that it returns to a neutral home position, okay? Because like when you're gonna trim, you may trim that tail a little bit. If you trim it, you don't want it to be pulling a little bit. You want it to be neutral, okay? That's really important. Now, the elevator, I don't know if we're level yet, but I can tell you this right now, that looks pretty darn tootin', which would be good, I guess.
Yeah, it seems really.
Yeah, it seems pretty dang close.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the seam and it looks really good. So all we should have to do is snap that on. Now, if you have to adjust this, you're gonna be basically bracing this rod while you spin this in or out, okay? An awkward angle for me here, but we'll get her done. Man, this tool does not like fitting on this one. Let me see if I can go this way. Nope, ain't gonna go. I have not been real happy with this tool, to be honest. I gotta find one, buy it myself. We had a friend send this to us, and it was very kind of them, but there's just a lot of planes that are picky about the way the ball links will work. Because normally, this is supposed to be on the back side and it clamps on like that. Like, I don't want that bent, I don't think, most of the time.
Yeah.
It gets in the way all the time.
Well, and they're just thicker than they need to be.
A lot. See, I'm like hitting the foam now. I might need to move the rudder. Yeah, this might be one where I can't even use this tool. There it goes. Okay, so it's on now. I take it all back. It was perfect. Great experience. Okay, elevator, ailerons, rudder, steerable nose gears move in the right direction. Okay, now remember, you got to brace your plane when you test this. Throttle cuts off. No differential thrust until you get up a little bit. Then they kick in together. Okay, so now the other thing is throttle cuts on, takeoff flaps, landing flaps, beautiful. All right, now I'm gonna do one other thing. I'm gonna test to make sure there's nothing else going on, but I'm gonna do it after we do thrust reverse setup. Okay, so thrust reverse, in order to do thrust reverse setup, I have to de-energize the plane. So throttle cut is on, it's been tested, we know it's working. So I can go ahead and pop this open. Keep in mind, you're gonna be close to these props when they're running, so be careful. Okay, we'll probably do it facing us this time for a moment. So disconnect. They set up some obnoxious warning. Oops. So now that's been plugged in. Only this one arms. That's so weird. Okay, so now scroll all the way to the right. Elevator up, aileron left. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoa. So I want to do left aileron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Brake is disabled. Okay, so now, just for safety's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the plane around. Okay, so this one's gonna allow us, whoops. This one's gonna allow us, brake, use the ailerons and elevator to control this. The brake is disabled. Nope, normal, proportional, reverse. Brake force, I don't know, let's set it to 1. Okay. We're gonna leave all this stuff the same. So it's on channel 7. So you remember what we set to channel 7? G switch, okay? Rudder reverse, normal, okay? Because it's working in the right direction. Okay, difference, 10%. Exit with save, okay? Holding the plane, exit with save. Now, I'm gonna see if it lets me back in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I want to go to the right one.
Hold it.
Am I going to the right? Okay. There it goes. Whew, that doesn't make me nervous. So now the screen isn't populated. That's a little nerve-wracking. Watch this, guys. Scroll back, scroll over. Nothing? Nothing? So now I'm gonna scroll all the way back over. If that does that to you, I'm not sure exactly the best protocol. So we're gonna reboot to be on the safer side, okay? So in order to reboot, I'm gonna stand up this time just to be on the safest I can be side. Okay, pull up the canopy, unplug, give it a couple of counts, plug it back in, canopy's going back on, okay. Hold the plane, go ahead and let it boot. Scroll all the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you'll notice it's not populating the screen, is it? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go with, let's test and see if it worked, okay? The problem is, how do I exit? This is the settings. See?
Yeah.
Nothing's populated.
So you just want to walk back out and see if they work?
You can't walk out. How do I walk out? I can't tell where to walk out.
Oh.
Okay, so we have to reboot for safety's sake, okay? Reboot, 1, 2, 3, and plugging back in. Okay, so guys, we tell the full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. Brian Phillips RC here. We're gonna share the whole process, even if it doesn't work right. All right, let the dance happen, okay? AS3X is active. First things first, I'm gonna go out of this. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna see if it works. Elevator up, elevator down. Yaw left, yaw right. Roll left, roll right. Takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Everything's working right. Holding the plane, throttle cuts off. Forward thrust, it's definitely forward. I switched G, and guess what?
Only one switched.
No, neither of them switched.
Neither.
That one switched. Okay? Yep. And braking. So the left one that we set worked.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay? So, throttle cuts on. We're safe. Okay? So the first things first. Now watch this. Click. I have to change my switch. Okay? Digital switch setup. Select switch G. Obviously, this is forward thrust. We've learned that from previous experience. Okay? So I need to set, I want G going forward to be forward thrust. So that's gonna be minus 100. Oops. Sorry, I was going the wrong way. I cleaned my scrolly wheel the other day, and it's been a little bit better, but still not perfect. And then I want this to be reverse thrust, so plus 100. So that says channel 2. That would be channel 7, aux 2.
Aux 2. Mm-hmm.
Okay. By the way, aux 2 has nothing to do with the channel number per se. It just happens to be channel 7 on this model. Okay. So switch G, that's what's going to happen. Okay. Now, do we have an audio vent? I don't know if we do. Highlight that, switch G. Okay. So switch G, acknowledge that. Let's see if we have forward thrust. We'll just look. We'll come back. All right, so I didn't find a reverse thrust. I found normal, but I didn't find anything about reverse, okay? So because of that, I'm gonna go with nothing, okay? So this audio vent, So walking back, I'm just gonna eliminate it by highlighting and hitting inhibit. Okay, so cancel to inhibit. Then I'm gonna go back and back and back. Now, we were checking the manual also while I was doing that, the camera crew was checking the manual. They said you have to use a programming tool to actually access that. I'm gonna show you another trick that might work for some people, other people it might not. But I wanna see if I can do it because I hate using that programming box. Okay, so throttle cuts on. We already know that we have thrust reverse active on that side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna test it. Throttle cuts off. There's forward thrust. There's reverse thrust. Can you feel it blowing at you?
Yes, definitely.
See, it's wanting to spin in a circle.
Yeah.
Okay? So now forward thrust, you could also tell it's braking. We put braking on 1 from 0. Okay? So now, I'm gonna show you how to do this. That might work. Throttle cuts on. I'm gonna pop the canopy. Throttle cut has been reliable throughout this whole process, so we can trust it. Plug it in. We're gonna go back in the menu. I'm gonna write down the exact buttons to press, okay? So scrolling over, wait for the boot, throttle cuts on, forward thrust is active. Up elevator, left aileron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then right aileron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go left aileron because it does load the menu. Okay, why are we doing that? Because I'm gonna literally write down hashes on what to do.
Okay.
And that's gonna be very lame to have to do, but the truth is, I think it's working in the background and you just can't see it on the screen. And if that's true, then you can copy my mode, okay? All right, so throttle cut is on. We don't have to worry about this. I can't make any mistakes. If I make mistakes, we're gonna be replicating them, okay? So I'm gonna write in order, oh, just a brand new pen, dang it. So in order of use, we're gonna go reverse thrust. Okay, and this is gonna be for the right one, okay? Because the left one you can see on the screen. So we're gonna go, oh shoot, we don't know what condition it's in by default.
No, you will. Go back, just
It's right
scroll
here.
through the list.
It's right here.
Yeah.
So from the first position, remember, we've got down, we've got over, and we've got, that's the way it's gonna be, okay? Down or over. So from reverse, 1, 2, it was disabled, right?
Yes.
Okay, so from disabled, we need to go over, 2, 2, 3. So we need to go, from the first position, we need to go 3 to the right. Then we need to press down. We're not gonna have feedback. Remember, brake force was 0, so we want it to be 1. Okay, so I need to go over to the right. So that's then down 1. And then we're gonna go over to the right 1. Okay, so that's gonna give us that. Then we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's already channel 7.
Yes.
Now 10, 11, 12. So 12 down. That'll put us on exit with save, and then we'll go 1 to the right, and that should reboot it, okay?
Yes.
So I'm just gonna exit. This may let us back in, so I'm gonna try again. So up elevator. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right aileron. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 12. Okay, so now that we have a blank screen, I have to be careful because of the springiness of this. So I need to go right 3 times. So this could screw us up. So 1, 2, 3. Then I want to go down 1, just down 1, and then over 1. Then I want to go down 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. To the right once. Ha 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 ha. Do you guys remember putting cheat codes? There you go. right motor.
That was ridiculous.
Now, did it work?
Did it work?
Did it work?
Yes.
Okay, so scrolling back over, getting off that screen, throttle cut is off. Forward thrust. Reverse thrust on that side. Differential's working. Differential's working. Okay, so now here's the question. Did the channel get changed? That's the scary part. I don't know if the channel got changed. That's the hard part. Because if it wasn't on channel 7.
But 7's the default.
Do you know that?
That's what the directions say. And that's what the other one was. We didn't change the channel. It was on 7.
But that doesn't mean it was defaulted. That's an assumption.
Right.
Assumptions leave people fingerless. So if you
The
see somebody
directions-
walking around like this,
They assumed that it was on channel 7.
throttle cuts off, forward thrust, full back. Okay, that doesn't change anything. Now just so you guys see what's happening, I'm gonna go to monitor mode. So I'm gonna pull this switch and it goes to plus 100 and it stays there. And then when I go forward, it goes to minus 100, which is forward thrust. I know it's annoying, but that's just the way it is. Differential thrust is definitely correct. And even with reverse thrust, it seems to still be working, okay? So, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Do you double check your work and hope that it works? Because we obviously went to the menu structure that said exit. So something happened.
Right.
But did it make the change and did we get it right? That's a good question.
Because it's not reversing right now.
And it's not braking.
Right.
It's not braking because you would tell, okay, so with throttle cut off,
Yep.
you can roll the plane up and look what happens to the left side. It stops quicker, okay? Every time it stops quicker. Okay? So because that, throttle cut's on, forward thrust is active. I'm gonna scroll all the way over. I'll see if it'll let me back in. I doubt it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's not gonna let us back in now.
No.
So the alternative is, I really cannot get the feedback, but I'm gonna try one more time, see if it gives us feedback. Given that we have actually made a change in that menu, maybe it will wake up the menu structure. Okay, so it's off, now it's back on. Okay, here on Brian Phillips RC, we're not afraid of a challenge, we just didn't want one. Correct?
Thought we were just being lazy.
Oh, we are being lazy. I don't wanna use that programming tool, do you?
No, but it works. It would be done by now.
Elevator up, left aileron. Yeah, but what if you didn't have it?
Well, I know.
There's so many people that watch this channel and they're like, I don't want to buy a programming tool for my stupid ESC. And I don't blame you, but we do have links to them. Okay, so let's go back to left and double check our count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we have reverse, 1. Okay, so if it was at disabled, okay, 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Okay, then we went down 1, and it would have been at 0, and then we moved it over right 1. Then we went how many to, the 12 must have been right because we exited, so let's test again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait. 1, 2. Well, I don't have to count anymore. It's not going to matter now. See what it says, channel 7?
It says right here, the default channel is channel 7.
Yeah, that's true.
So we shouldn't have had to change that.
Oh, and then there's default with exit. So if we were doing a save with exit at 12, is it possible that I got it wrong and I went to default with exit?
I don't think that you did. I mean, I was counting while you were counting.
Let's just go all the way up to the top. Let's check it again, guys. Check your work. Okay, if in doubt, check your work. So this step here, over here, that puts us to 12 downward. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And then over 1.
Yep. Okay, do you want to try it one more time? Sure. Up elevator, left aileron. I might have to wait for the ESC to do arm. And we're just going to see if it loads the serial data. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17. Okay. So yeah, it doesn't. Definitely doesn't.
Well, and the left one's the only one that's beeping, right? When it arms.
The right one is the only one that beeps.
Oh, the right one is beeping.
The right one is the one we're setting up now.
That's one, yeah.
So
just try it again.
Okay, so I don't think it's gonna work, but you gotta remember, we don't know where we are yet. 1, 2, 3. Then down 1, 1 braking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, reset. So it's definitely walking through the menu. That was the left one arming.
It's always the left one, isn't it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm mistaken in my assessment then. Forward thrust, still. Okay, so we've established that you evidently can't do it from the transmitter, which sucks, because then you have to get out this tool that's used to program your ESCs, okay? I'm not happy about it. You're not happy about it. Everybody's not happy about it. But I'll be happier when I'm done and I have forgotten that I had to do this, okay? So this is the Spectrum Smart ESC Programmer. Here it is, okay? It's also a battery checker if you want to check batteries, but really I don't use this to ever check batteries in the history of time. I've never done it.
No.
Okay, not even once. And this has a battery input, an ESC input, and a USB-C cable. Okay, so you have to be careful doing this. Our throttle cut is on, but there is going to be a moment in time during this process where you're not controlling the thing. So this is the program Murder 1 and then Murder 2. It's Murder 2, Motor 1. Which one's which? That is a good question. I would assume left is the one that's motor 1 and motor 2 is the one that we couldn't get. Now this has also got ambiguous marking because it's a Spectrum Smart equipment. So gray is going to be presumably signal. Now I don't know that for a fact, but let's just go with it here. I can't remember if this has to be plugged in while it's energized, but we'll find out in mere moments. Come around to the other side, please. Right there. Careful, I have the nose under control. You need to keep your elbow and arm out of the way. Okay, so this is probably not going to work. Select, connecting ESC. This is where if you did it wrong, it won't work, okay? Brake disabled, wrong. Select, no, wrong. Brake force, 1. Don't care, 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 don't care. Thrust reverse, channel 7, keep your arm up. Rudder normal. Let's see if it changed anything. Nope, it didn't. So we should be good. So at any time I can hit save. Okay. Oh, you see how it said saving data? I have to do this for each of them. Save. See this?
Oh.
Save.
Then that was all we changed.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
So now, keep your hands out of here when you're undoing this in case something goes wrong. Because this thing is still active and it's still working. It's still on. It would probably be a good idea to reset the power, but I'm just going to tell you this right now. I'm not gonna for the sake of time because obviously we do short videos here on Brian Phillips RC.
You're like 15 minutes, so.
Until the battery dies?
Yeah.
Well, we did good. Okay, throttle cuts up. There it goes. That's because my stick was up, not because it started. Y'all left, y'all right, 0% throttle. Forward thrust, and we have nothing. Roll left, roll right, nothing, nothing, nothing. Throttle cuts Okay, so I'm gonna go forward thrust, reverse thrust. It's not armed. Throttle cuts on.
Oh, that
It's not
ESC
armed.
is not armed.
It's not armed.
Okay.
Throttle cuts on, we're gonna rearm it. How are we gonna rearm it? We're gonna reboot it. If this doesn't work, we'll go through the programming process one more time. It armed that time. I heard arm.
Not armed.
Oh, so what you're saying is it went back to the right one.
I don't know what it's doing.
It's like, whatever we can do to confuse you. Throttle cuts off. Forward thrust, it's in reverse thrust. Forward thrust, yaw left, yaw right. I had my switch in reverse thrust. So, forward thrust with reverse thrust, or excuse me, forward thrust with differential. Camera crew, you need to come around here, please. So, we know that that worked. Throttle cut is off. Forward thrust is selected by pressing down, okay? Regular forward thrust. Oh geez, I'm gonna rip my shirt off. Differential thrust, differential thrust. Reverse thrust. Differential thrust, differential thrust. So, forward thrust, throttle cuts on. Simple as that. So there you have it. So thank God we didn't have to program that at all.
Only somebody would have read the directions.
That had nothing to do with the directions. Are you kidding me?
The directions said
No,
use the
it didn't.
programmer.
The directions said to use the programming tool, and I
Yeah.
said, I don't want to use the dang programming tool.
But what did we do?
We ended up using the programming
Yeah.
tool. So listen, people, here on Brian Phillips RC, when the directions say use the programming tool, I say only if I absolutely have to.
Okay.
We'll link to the programming tool. Yes, this is the second or third or maybe the fourth time we've used this programming tool. It is a necessary tool on occasion.
Yeah.
Do I think it should be a necessary tool? The answer to that question is if you have kids that write on your counters, you'll know they did it. Sorry, that's just even in the right drawer, okay? So that sits here. By the way, also, since we're doing all the fun stuff right now, let's talk about other compliance issues. If you want, you can use one of these things and you can plug it in, and that's a remote ID module. If you don't want to fly in a FRIA and you want to be fully above board, you can do that. That's remote ID, so that they can track you and all the Karens in the world can complain about your flying, because everybody hates flying evidently, except for the people that love it and literally give such a huge part of their souls to it, like us. But evidently there's a few other people in the world that are not like us. And I tend to think that that's a problem that should be solved by getting them to love it too. Or just move to the country right next to one.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, that's another story for another day.
Do you want to mark the CG?
Not really.
Okay.
But I'm gonna do it. So we're gonna open up, this is our caliper. Calipers say, what, 51 millimeters plus or minus 9. Okie doke.
42 to 60.
Now,
They did the math for us.
point at this. Thank you, Horizon, for distinguishing not here, where it's like, you know, where the wing makes like a bend. They drew the box, pointed right here. See this, guys? They pointed it right here. That's where it should be.
You should.
They
write manuals.
measured from a good, clear point, which is where we should be seeing that all the time from all manufacturers. Okay, so that is 51 plus or minus 9.
42.
51 minus 9.
It says in the manual, it says 42 to 60. If
Oh,
their math
okay,
is wrong, then I
well,
have
42
wrong.
to 60. Okay, so why don't they just print that?
I don't know.
So 42 to 60. Okay. So we'll just go to 42. Here we go, good enough. So I'll just make a little bump. 42. Go about the same distance in, make a bump. To 60? Mm-hmm. Okay. What was the last plane we did? It was like +3, -9.
Yeah,
or
that
some
one was weird.
Weird setup. Okay. And yeah, you saw that right. I just made a little depression in the foam. And the depression has to do with having to use a programming tool to set up thrust reverse. So if you also have depression over using the programming tool, it's Brian Phillips RC. You can buy one from the links to the videos. It'll help support our channel. All right, so all joking aside, we're glad to have the thing working. Now, another point of clarity, if manufacturers are gonna provide such amazing features as thrust reverse, that'd be kind of cool if that was turned on. Float planes, you're gonna want thrust reverse, because if you're on water and you wanna push back, or if you get close to the edge, you could push away, and also the differential thrust is awesome. Another plane where I think we used the programming on the transmitter for the DA-18, didn't we? By the way, let's show them a quick update on the tail feathers as everything is drying. Oh yeah, beautiful. Everything working still?
Yeah, looks good.
Go to the other side, show them the other side. Beautiful. Absolutely no problems there. Love it. Gorgeous. Okay, so everything is working with the exception of forward programming. So throttle cut is on. So the last step is setting up forward programming. We've done the thrust reverse. We've done all the other things. So now all we need to do is walk all the way to the right, click, go into the function list, scroll down to forward programming. Advanced menus, you can turn on gyro settings, AS3X settings, AS3X gains. Okay. It's not changing, so we have to set that. Safe select, that's where you set it on a bind and fly now, okay? So safe is on. Safe select channel, they're saying channel 2. That is incorrect. We want it to be on this channel, okay? That's flight mode. Can you do flight mode? Doesn't look like you can do flight mode. So we have to know what channel we're on, okay? What channel are we on? It's not aux2 because aux2 is what we use for thrust reverse, okay? So we need to know what channel we're on, and switch D is not defined, is it? Well, I guess we could use gear too.
Can you just switch D?
What are you talking about? No, you can't exercise the switch is what the camera crew is asking.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just going to go up to something crazy. So we'll go to like aux 5. Scroll down to system setup, disconnect RF, channel assign. Okay, so you'll notice there's no assignment for anything to do with switch D or flight modes, okay? So we could go to 8. It's the first one that's available, okay? We'll set it to switch D, okay? You can set it to switch D, or you can set it like this, scroll all the way over, and you can do flight mode, because that's what we set our flight modes to, okay? So I'll just go to switch D, so we kind of cover our bases in this case. Okay, so wait for it to load the menu structure, then click into the function list, scroll back into forward programming. You could also do the other settings to set it up, I think. That's where you would set this back to factory defaults if you wanted to set it all up from Virgin setup, okay? So gyro settings, safe setting. It's not aux 5 now. What is it?
3.
Okay. Now it changed. You can tell it worked. Throttle cut's on, by the way. Okay, so we want AS3X off in this setting.
Safe mode.
You can't change that, so we have to rotate the position of this switch, okay? So I'm gonna walk out of the menu. I'm gonna scroll up to servo setup, travel, reverse. Which one do you reverse?
aux3. Yep.
Now, guys, listen, this is important. We have aux3 attached to the D switch. We also have flight modes attached to the D switch. They're not necessarily the same thing. So you need to be aware that they are not necessarily the same thing, but come back around. If you set up flight modes and you want to reverse them, you don't do it through here. You can reverse that, and then these functions, the center is the same as the center regardless of which direction it travels, correct? So the plus and the minus 100 get flipped, okay? There's another way to do that in digital switch setup. Now I'm not gonna do it because it's gonna confuse the matter, But if you wanted to set it up as flight mode, so instead of using switch D, if you wanted to go into flight mode, here you can change it there too. And you'll see that you've got the labels then attached that we typed in earlier. Just kind of handy. But I'm not going to switch it here. In fact, I'm just going to walk out of the menu because it doesn't matter. I'm showing the simpler of the two ways that I know how to do it. Okay, so now I can click and I can go back into forward programming. Gyro settings. Safe select. Safe is still on. Safe is off with the switch up. AS3X is on. AS3X is off. Safe is off, but safe select, meaning the choice to have it, is still on.
Safe mode.
Now safe is on. Safe select is still on, and it's still always attached to aux 3. You can tell because this flight mode changes. Pretty cool. All right, so we now have that set correctly. Now we can go to AS3X settings. We go to AS3X gains. Now watch this. In flight mode 3, this is what we have. In flight mode 2, we have it off. In flight mode 1, we have safe mode, right? But you can change these if you want, right? You can also change the priority. Stick priority.
Off. Safe mode. Off.
Okay.
AS3X mode.
And then you can set up the stop lock and release rates. So that's flight mode 3,
Off.
flight mode 2,
Safe
and flight mode 1.
off. AS3X mode.
So hit next. Ah, we lost connection. I could tell because it didn't load the menu structure. That does happen from time to time, guys. Don't freak out. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to just show you what should have loaded.
Safe mode.
Okay, so if I go down to next, there's nothing in that, right? There's nothing in that. And there's your stop lock release rate, okay? And there's your stop lock rate and the stop lock release rate. So if you're into playing with those, you can play with those there. Now also, I just want to show you the other settings. There's fail safe, initiate receiver bind mode, the frame rate, the factory reset, and restore from backup, okay? All right, so walking out, this plane should be set with safe, but we don't trust it until we trust it. Once we trust it, then we test it, or we test it to trust it. This is a safer way of putting it. Elevator up, elevator down. Elevator up, elevator down. Roll left, roll right. Yaw left, yaw right. Takeoff flaps and landing flaps. Very good. Throttle cut is still on. We're going to test it. We're going to test differential thrust by moving the stick in different conditions. Left and right at full throttle, everything is working. Now, with throttle cut off, we're going to give throttle. We're going to give it a little bit of roll, or excuse me, that'd be yaw to the left. You can tell there's definitely a left yaw. And we're going to give it a right yaw, okay? Now, there's only a 10% differential, so that means that when you receive 11% on the left of throttle, it's going to start differentiating between the throttles, okay? So they're both going to go up to 10%. And then once you reach the 11th percent, then there's going to be a distinguishing factor between the two. As far as I understand the way that works, you can change that. If you have the programming tool, now you can change this one just fine, but you can't necessarily change that one. Now I also want to check the braking. Throttle cut is off again. Watch this. They should stop about the same time. Yeah, they do, okay? They do, very close, okay? I can also hear a very small amount of, you can hear it as it's slowing it down. The other thing is with throttle cut on, the braking is on. So look. You hear it hum? That's the resistance from braking motor level 1. You could do 2, 3, 4, whatever. I don't care. It's up to you. I'm going to do 1 just to help slow down the props before we go to a reverse condition, okay?
We got about 5 minutes.
All right, so the last thing we need to do is we need to test all of our modes. So off, there'll be no stabilizer at all. We have already given throttle. Listen to how quiet it is. If camera crew could hold still. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything. I'm gonna go to safe. Automatically tries to level the plane. Finding the quickest route to level, it's easiest to look at the ailerons. Look at the elevator, that's another good way. It's trying to pull the nose out of a dive until it gets to about there. Now, if you're going uphill, it's gonna try to pull it level as well. So look at one axis of control at a time. Obviously the ailerons are easy, off. Now with AS3X, you can move the plane and you can see the control axis move. Doesn't matter if it's upside down or right side up, but I'm gonna have the camera crew hand me the camera. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So you see the rudder? As I move the plane, that's just the AS3X. It's resisting whatever I move. Now look at the elevator. Harder to see, but it's still seeable. Now look at the aileron. It's resisting. It's resisting, okay? How do you tell it's resisting? Whatever direction I am moving the plane, it goes to oppose that, okay? If it's going the other way, that's backward and it will induce a crash, okay? So we have tested all the control surfaces that they're going in the correct direction. We've also tested that the motors are spinning the correct direction. We've tested that the braking is working. We've tested that the thrust reverse is working. We've tested that the thrust reversed and differential thrust is working. We've tested that all the surfaces are working in each of the particular modes, and we've also tested that AS3X works. So this plane is fully tested and ready to fly. I'm excited to fly it for you. Hopefully you watched the Unbox Build radio setup and learned a little something new without being completely bored. Because at the end of the day, we want to bring people to the hobby. We want to get them in the air, out of the chair, into the air is what we like to say. And so if you struggled through this entire build with us, we appreciate you staying true to Brian Phillips RC. Because we know that there's different ways you could spend a Saturday afternoon or an afternoon at the office, like you could be doing work. But we are glad to distract you here on Brian Phillips RC. So hopefully your boss likes flying RC as well. But that being said, beautiful plane, gorgeous finish, more detailed than the bigger offerings. And also it has better technology crammed into it, but only by a small margin and only if you choose to use off-brand receivers in the other competitive offering. I will tell you this, we really did like the competitive offering, but it is quite a bit bigger, okay? So just keep in mind, and also just in terms of tariffs and costs and all these things, they're gonna change over the next few months a lot because deals have been struck. Just keep that in mind, be prepared to buy when you're ready, and check the links in the video description below so you can support Brian Phillips RC when you buy this very Twin Otter for yourself. We hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we answered all your questions. If we do floats in the future, we'll show how they go together, hopefully. And if not, you'll see what you need to see from other videos like the Timber 1.5. I believe that's the floats they use. NX10 has been good. Only problems we've had over the years is just the scrolly wheels eventually get dirty. We showed how to clean them in the B2 video. If you guys saw that recently it's not an ultra micro, it's a micro. So check that out if you need some help. And as always, we appreciate you guys being here with us. If you're gonna support us in other ways, we have Patreon for monthly support, YouTube members for monthly support, YouTube super thanks for one-time donations, and PayPal, as well as a PO box if you wanna send us something, which is always nice. We appreciate that. We appreciate you guys staying tuned because there is so much more right around the corner, literally, for us to unbox, build, and radio set up for you, as well as fly. So hopefully you enjoyed the flight. Get one for your very own. Remember, we're missing some antennas here, 3 of them to be exact, but otherwise we've got the full suite of beauty and excitement. And I gotta say, the lights look good. The plane has amazing, amazing details, and I think it's gonna be a great flying thing. So check it out. And by the way, if you have another plane you wanna see and this was not your ticket because we talked you out of it by one thing or another, there's tons of amazing content right now on brianphillipsrc.com. It'll bring you right back to YouTube, but it's much easier to find what you want, sorted by type or sorted by brand or affiliate that we worked with to bring that particular content to you. You can check it out right now. You can also find supplies on the Brian Phillips RC website. Should be organized and easy for you to find. Remember, when you follow the links, you support us. When you don't follow the links, you don't support us. It should be hopefully pretty easy. If you want to support us, follow the links. If you don't know how to do that, hit us up. We'll try to help you out. Also, leave your comments down below in the comments. We will try to help you. And by the way, if we saw you at NOL, it was super fun. We hope we see you in 2026, or maybe NOL in the fall, depending on how the year unfolds. But thanks guys for being so loyal to us here on Brian Phillips RC. And we appreciate you watching. Come back for more.